Hi, you're watching the 405 TV, and today we're in Sweden talking to Jonna Li from iamamiwhoami. Hello, Jonna.
Hi, Drom.
Thank you for seeing us today.
Thanks for coming all this way.
Of course. So we're here to talk about your brand new album with iamamiwhoami. It's called Blue.
Yeah.
And it's coming out very, very shortly after quite a long time of preparatory work and writing and filming and recording. You mentioned earlier when we were setting up that this has been essentially 2 years in the making. Can you remember the first point that the idea for Blue came to you?
Yes, but the idea for Blue was actually conceived sometime during 2010 or 11, but the making of it, like the first song for this album, was written sometime early 2013, and yeah, that's when it started. And we were still touring, and then continued writing throughout the process, and then it proved to become a film, basically. So yeah, that's where we are now, 2 years later almost, and it's still not finished.
And Fountain was that first song that you wrote. Do you remember where you were when you wrote it? Were you on tour? Were you traveling to go to a show, or were you actually on a break?
On a break. I don't really write music when I do like touring and stuff like that. I need to go into a mode where you do only that thing, and so I think I was off, and that it was sunny. I remember that, and that I needed the break very badly, and then it came as a big relief, like a start of something new.
At the same time that Fountain came out, you started a campaign of sorts that was referred to as Generate. And in an age where a lot of people crowdfund and raise funds for projects, it was a slightly different way that wasn't in your face, saying kind of give us money for this project. It was a very subtle notice at the end that invited fans to put money towards the project. Can you tell us a bit about how that idea came about and how you envisaged that it would work?
The beginning of when we started working with the visual side of Blue, which was Fountain at the beginning, we decided to just do the one episode and then start working on the album sort of bit by bit. And then there was the option, like all artists done before, I guess, to do it independently or to do it with, outside force. Basically, you get money somewhere else from, and then you may have to compromise certain aspects of the creativeness. And I can't do that. And I've learned with this project that there's no point in even thinking in that direction for me if this is going to be, something that can still exist. So then there was the option of inviting the people that really follow us daily and see if they want to be contributing, and they helped out for the next 2 episodes. They helped generate those 2. which was amazing. I felt such a support, and I felt like we could do it independently, even this series too.
Yeah, and I understand that originally, when that first episode came out, you envisaged that you would be able to complete the album in time for release in June this year. At what point did it become clear that the project was going to be bigger than that, or going to take longer to actually entrench?
Well, I think once we got into March there sometime, I thought I felt like this is not going to work time-wise, But the deadline it's mine, and it's the teams that I work with. No one is sort of pushing us to do something. So it's still with a sort of relief that, okay, we can take our time if we need it, But it's important to have that short deadline, I think, to not overthink and to keep things in real time, because that's what's special, I think, with the way we release things, that it reflects what's going on around it when it's happening.
With Kin, the sort of release strategy appeared more structured in the sense that it was, every fortnight, sort of like clockwork, there was a new video and a new single leading up to the release. And with this album, there's been less mathematical precision, I guess, to the order that things came out, to the point that the last release that we've had at the time of filming was a double release of Chasing Kites and Thin. Why did you decide to release those two songs together at the same time?
Well, they are connected, which all of them are, of course, but in the sense that it's more of a direct connection that we want to present that way as well. Want to enhance the feeling of that as well. With Kim, it was different because we had a lot of time to prepare that production in a sense, and now the production preparations and filming and recordings has all been going on simultaneously. So I decided not to let it take its time, and to have me and the team actually feel, keep our health and, not hit a wall, but to have fun while doing it is a very important thing. The storm is strong and near, it's close and near, it's real. With my youth chasing cats, I know we'll play. And
apart from the lyric at the start of Chasing Kites, which talks about it's a thin, thin line, and walk both sides of it, is there a further link for you between those two songs that made you want to release them together?
Do you mean the word thin in the first?
Yeah, sorry, the word thin in the first verse.
Well, right. I think you can find that in all songs on Blue, actually, that it's all sort of reflective of each other. So, but yes.
Okay, that's great. Obviously, at the same time of writing and recording and producing and then directing videos, you've also had to manage your own record label and set on this adventure of self-releasing this album. Was it frightening for you to sort of break away from the support of any label and do it yourself, from start to finish?
Yeah, it's definitely scary. I mean, in the sense that you don't really know what you're doing sometimes, and especially if you're doing it the first time around. Like this time, To Whom May Concern is a very small independent label now, and it's not just me, but we don't know certain aspects of the manufacturing, for example. So that's something that you want to be able to do a good job of fulfilling. And so in that sense, it's scary, but creatively, strategically, it's not much different because I've always been in charge of that thing. But I'm really happy that we are able to do it this way, because I really feel a close connection between what's being made and how it's being handed over to the people that want it, and it's coming straight from the source, basically. So that's special.
What made you decide that at this stage you were happy to share the lyrics to the songs with fans?
Well, the whole release and the album is more clear and sort of direct than the previous series have been. And the main thing is that when we started the project, it just basically was born out of the public's sharing, and the name that we have now it was not supposed to be a band name. It was an account name on YouTube, and so all of these things, along with choosing to actually leave what I had before and just do this now fully and start the label and everything. There's been so much information that it's been hard to sort of boil it down to something that you can share and explain without it becoming just a tiny part that will more confuse and help you. But in the sense of Blue, it's made this way. It was intended to be shared, like lyrics, and I want the followers to read them, and I want them to sort of get the whole picture this time. Not all of it, because they will not, but some of it, with leaving enough space for them to find their own sort of way.
And obviously, we were talking briefly about the island before. If I understand correctly, you're still working on that side of things as well. What's the interplay between digital, which is what the Blue Island is going to be, and physical for you? Do you think that physical is going to last as a format for a long time still, or is digital going to prevail in the long run?
Well, it's a little bit of an experiment to see, where the value lies for the person who buys the product. If you, because a physical item always is seen as having more value than a digital service. Like if you listen to music, it's more like a copy of an original than it's actually something with value. But where is the music that has the value? But you never really think about it. It's when you consume things in streaming, for example. So I want people to experience Blue digitally, but I want them to get the full experience. And if the experience can hold a value, I think the digital format can be worth more. So it's interesting to see what happens with it. And the physical editions are wonderful, that we release. But there's something totally different. It's having a piece of furniture at home, basically, whilst the digital is an experience. It's exciting to work with it.
With films and plays, I think people find something interesting if it's slightly unpredictable, and if there's a surprise ending or a twist. And similarly, I think with a lot of your songs, they don't go in the direction that you think they're going to go. There's a bit of a strange journey to them. So just to give an example, you only get to the chorus with Hunting for Pearls about 2 minutes into the song, or with Blue Blue, which is probably one of the strongest choruses on the album, you only get the chorus twice, and then sort of midway through the songs it kind of goes in a slightly different direction, and then kind of has a breakdown, and again it changes into something else. Is that something that you do consciously when you write your songs, in terms of trying to explore strange directions or directions that fans wouldn't expect when they listen to, or do you not even think about it, it just comes naturally?
It's both something I think about and not. I think that we would be bored if we just did according to the sort of format that traditionally, because if you listen to music that's on the radio or whatever, it often has the same sort of build up, and that's something that is great with pop, because it's made that way for a reason. But for me, it's like when I write it, I also experience it at the same time, and I want it to become a journey, and I need to thrill myself basically with something else. So I think that's that's what you hear. And Klaus and I are very much the same there. And you write, and then you get the sense of, oh, the story takes us here and now, because I guess our music's very visual that way.
Linking to that and what we were talking about before with the original June deadline, would you say that you're a perfectionist when it comes to crafting the songs, or do you find it easy to recognize when a song is finished and you can let it go?
I think I can let it go. I'm probably the one in the team that tells people like, this is done. Sometimes a little bit too soon as well. But at times, I can also sit and just get into things really, really intensively too. So it all depends on, if you stumble upon an issue or an obstacle or something, or sometimes things go really easy for you, and then you can get done really quickly.
Let's talk about the visuals for a bit. Until and including Kin, you worked with Robin Kemp Bergman on the visuals. Mm-hmm. And then with Fountain, you introduced this new collective, Wave, mm-hmm. of which you are a part, together with Jon Strandh and Agustin Moreau. Mm-hmm. And you are now taking a different role from, moving from executive producer to co-director. Mm-hmm. How did that move happen to you? Was it a natural progression?
It was, because once we finished Kin and we were all so tired after 3 years of non-stop working, we went on tour to do 12 concerts last year, and at that time we had already started doing visual still image series within the three now called Wave. So when I started writing the album at the same time, Blue, the lyrics and the story and the concept of the album was already there from the start this time, and it felt very natural to do it, within this group. And also Robin was doing, he's a director that does a lot of other stuff too, so I wanted to try it and see. And it could have been, that if you do something that's so fully progressed in the early stages of the making, you could limit someone's creativity by letting it in on it. So I'd rather have full on, just try and see what happens and tell that story, and then we'll see in the future, yeah.
I think when people listen to the album, the most prominent notion that comes out of it is the very strong relationship between the act and its followers. And to a large extent, Kin was about that. But all of the lyrics on this record could essentially be interpreted about that interrelationship between you and your fans. Do you feel that this relationship directly feeds the music, or is that something that you discovered alongside the main themes of the project for you?
Discovered it alongside Bounty, and that there was something different, because I hadn't spent time watching people's comments on pages online before, and it was just presented to me with our releases, and so it became quite clear that they weren't just there for no reason or just to click and then go somewhere else, but they were there discussing, talking, and they were integrating in a sense that was too important to not involve in what we were doing, because it affected us so much. and that's where the base was laid, and then that has just followed us. So, you know, it's 50% of the whole project is what the audience are experiencing, how they're handling change, how we're developing it further, and I think it's really precious to me.
If I describe the album in one sentence, and that sentence was an album about the relationship between a musician or an act and their fans, would you say that that's a pretty accurate way to describe the album?
It's part of it, definitely. It's also the story of, how I Am and My Who Am I are evolving to keep existing, you know? So it's a journey to take us somewhere where we can still be doing what we're doing. Because it's not something that I take for granted that we can keep doing, because it involves so many people's time and creativity and passion. And if that was to be a little less than it is today, we couldn't carry on. So it's both that, like 50% is like, what are the audience feeling? What are they experiencing? And then it's me inside the project and my collaborators, of course.
And of course, the followers are depicted in the visuals that you've had for this record as the dark figures that sort of follow you around and that you interact with. And the interesting thing was in the last two videos, because it really shines the light on that relationship and how they are with you and how you are with them. And one image that sort of sticks out as very interesting is when you are in the lighthouse and you are observing what the followers are doing through a telescope, which to me sort of comes across as perhaps the image of I am and I who am I, looking on the internet and seeing what comments are being said, what fans are thinking about the project. How much do you monitor what goes on in the community now?
Oh, a whole lot. I mean, because we're all online people, if you know what I mean. I mean, we have to see it, and we learn it because we both have the label that interacts in that sense, and then there's the average sort of social media, when all of the followers are really active in all of these places. So either I see it or someone else in the team does, but it comes as sort of small waves that affect you, and you sort of know what the average sort of feel is amongst them.
Relating to what we were just talking about, and having regard to the anonymity that the internet can provide us all with, should we wish to use it. Have you ever been tempted to adopt an anonymous online persona to be able to interact with your fans more directly and have conversations with them?
Yes, definitely I have. I mean, it would be tempting, I guess. But the thing is, I try to limit myself to communicate through the lyrics and the videos. I mean, there's a lot of room for me to do that, and I don't want to be there helping them out. I think they can figure it out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you recently reached out to the fans more directly than before after your birthday, where a lot of birthday wishes were sent to you via the online fan community. And that's, if I remember correctly, that's the first time that you sort of reached directly as Jonna rather than I am I, who am I. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about how that affected you, getting all that love directly to you?
Yeah, I was, I had been working like I have for such a long time, and we've been filming and working with the auditions, and I was so tired, and I woke up very early, and I saw that, you know, these messages on my birthday, and I had kind of almost forgotten that it was my birthday, and then I was stricken by it and I cried because I was so moved by it and surprised, and I don't know, it's very emotional. So I thought I should reach out, and you know, it's tricky within the project to do that without
Breaking the wall.
yeah, I mean, I don't want there to be a wall, but there needs to be some distance because of the way that we do our work.
Feeling the music run without you. I am
We can't not talk about Shadow Show. I think every time I speak to you, we talk about Shadow Show in some way or another. But it's the song that started the whole project out for you. And I guess my first question is, because it's the song that is closing this project, some people are worried that that means that that's it, that the project is wrapped up and there's not going to be any more I Am, Am I, Who Am I? But that's not the case, is it?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I couldn't see myself without this project right now. So I would be surprised if that would be the end. But I mean, it's definitely a big milstolpe, and I don't know what the English word is.
Milstolpe.
Yes, it's a big.
Milestone?
Yeah. Well,
Look at my
that's very
Swedish.
easy.
I mean, wow.
Yes, I wish I'd known that. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, and I don't want to take anything for granted due to the way we work and the time we put into it. It needs to come out of pure passionate making. You know, it can't be something that you do a little bit like, oh, all right, we'll release something. That's not an option. So no one would want to see that or hear that. But I'm sure we can do it again.
With Shadow Show, what made you decide that it will fit? Because obviously you've told me before that there's various versions of the song, both in recorded form and in your head. Why did you decide this was the right time to give it a formal airing, as it were?
I think I had a lot of different hopes and wishes for this album when we started doing it, and one was to sort of encounter all the fears that we've had. You know, Shadow Show has been one of those songs that started us up and that we kept with us, but it's also been one of those shadows sort of hanging over you, like, and we haven't found the right setting for it, so we just let it be there. It was obviously played live, you know, but not released. So it was a thing that I said to Klaus, like, we're going to do this song now. And then we both laughed a little bit because we didn't think that we could carry it off. But then we found the right way for it, I think. And now I love it. But I'm sure it's going to have different shapes as well, you know. I mean, we play it differently every time. It's existing in many different forms. So, I mean, this is not the only setting that you can find it in.
And might some of the other forms make it onto the island, for instance?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't promise any of that.
Okay. And I mean, a lot of the fans are going to be very surprised when they hear it, because they've actually heard it already to an extent when you teased the album back in, I think it was May, on the album teaser on YouTube. The very astute of fans sort of decided to press their Shazam buttons on that recording, and it actually appeared as Shadow Show. Was that intentional, or?
Oh, no, it wasn't. I heard about that just now, and but I thought that was obvious from the album trailer that we made, so it didn't really matter to me that much.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was obvious, but yeah, it's part of it.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
At the same time that Shadow Show turned up, because obviously it was known as different things before. It was known as Punkt, or for some people as The Riddle, or just the final song from your live concert. When it was finally registered as Shadow Show, another song cropped up as written by you on online databases of registered works, and that was called Avalanche. Are you happy to tell us a bit about what Avalanche is? Have we actually heard it in a different name? Or?
No, Avalanche. You have not heard that song, and it is and it was sort of an I Am song before our name was iamamiwhoami. But we haven't really recorded it properly. I mean, the thing is though that I don't know how people are finding my written written songs that you can't even hear, but there's so many songs in those registers that that you wrote and you don't even remember as well. It's the truth that I mean all of the songs I've written in my life are in that register. Some of which I wish I hadn't written, and yeah, you know. That one, we don't know if you're going to see that live, if it's going to see the light of day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about it?
It was one of the first songs to be written before B came out. Yeah, and we had an album sort of in the making at that time, and a lot of the songs were scrapped because we wanted to instead keep doing real-time writing, and that's how we made Bounty. So then, picking up a song after 4 or 5 years doesn't really feel too, current or interesting to yourself creatively. But sometimes that can happen, I guess. But I rarely do that.
Okay. Another of the fan detective finds that I came across when I was researching our interview is a project that was registered to your name under the name Mouth of a River. And one of the songs that was registered under Mouth of a River was Chasing Kites, which is now part of Blue. Can you tell us a bit about what Mouth of a River is?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about what Mouth of a River is. It is one sort of collection of songs, and Chasing Kites is not part of that.
Okay.
The title, however, is the title Chasing Kites is now on Blue, but the song was completely different. And I made those songs where at a time sort of where I was I had a break and I had time to just do something, and I can honestly say that I don't know when or if anyone is going to hear those songs.
And are they recorded or just written?
They're recorded.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your candor. I want to talk about the live experience side of I Am and My Who Am I, which has obviously been unlike anything else that any other artist does live, as one would expect from I Am and My Who Am I.
Thank you.
How are you going to approach Blue as a live experience? Have you thought about it already?
Yeah. Well, we're going to start putting this together as soon as the album is out, basically. And I mean, visualizing this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's been sort of in the making since the start. So we are not sure how many concerts there will be, and where we will go. This depends fully on the audience, basically, and the people that arrange concerts over the world, because we are not easy to handle when we come with our things. But yeah, it's going to be an audiovisual experience, that's for sure.
In 2010, you did the online concert where I Am Who Am I took an unsuspecting fan to a forest, presumably somewhere here in Sweden, and performed a full hour's concert to him. You've said before that you wouldn't rule out doing that again. Obviously, the element of surprise and secrecy about it might not be the same as it was 4 years ago, but do you think that there's still scope for you to create something like that on an online basis?
Yeah, doing concerts in our own arena. I mean, that's a very natural thing that I definitely want to do. Doing the same thing again, no. I never want to repeat myself, both for the audience and for my own sake and my collaborators. So I can't say, and I wouldn't tell you, would I? But
Or would you?
I don't think I would.
Okay.
But no, but I mean, obviously, those things are thrilling to me as well. But it needs to be done right. It needs to be done with the right amount of time and preparations, you know. So it's whenever those things align that interesting things happen. And so first off, the Blue release, and then who knows what happens.
And my absolute final question,
Yeah.
just linking to the live experience. When you finally took both Bounty and Kin to the live arena, did you discover through performing them live to an audience that you particularly like or enjoy performing a certain song live more than others? Was there a particular song that kind of you thought to yourself, oh, I'm going to really enjoy performing that tonight, I think?
Yes, I think that varies also depending on your prestanda
State of mind?
Yeah, and your abilities. I mean, obviously, when you play concerts, your body gets really sore, especially if you doing a lot of physical exercises on stage. I think Raskal is probably one of the songs that I always felt really intensely about playing. But I mean, Why is also one of the first songs that I felt was just an I Am Who I anthem. So, but now I can't wait to play these songs live too and mix them up and see, what happens. And it's also great to have the catalog is growing also, So, by next series we can play a 4-hour concert. Who would want to see that?
That's certainly something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Jonna Lee, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank
and
you.
Best of luck with Blue.
Thanks so much.